Hey, everybody, welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I am so blessed and honored to be here today with James Bilderback, owner and president, Interlink Relocation. James, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Ben. Thanks for having me today. Feeling really
Dude,
good.
thanks for being here. Thanks for being patient. We were just, working through some things. So everybody out there, I'm getting, texts from people. Hey, did you guys start yet? Did you guys start yet? But Beverly Bell's like, hey, I can't get in. I'm like, don't worry, Beverly. It's my bad. Don't worry. It's all good.
She's funny.
All good. Hey, everybody out there. You were getting emails. I'm getting DM'd over here. Bev's in my DMs. Hey, everybody, get active in the comments. Want to know who you are, where you are, what you're doing right now. James, where in the world are you right now?
I'm in Atlanta, just north of the city, Roswell, Georgia. Just for the next couple of weeks. Today was a great day. We closed on our new house in Colorado, so super
Congratulations,
excited.
Man. That sounds amazing.
Sir. Yes, yeah, it is. We're blessed for sure.
That's awesome, dude. Whereabouts in Colorado? Colorado's an amazing area.
Yeah, and we're super excited to be in Breckenridge. So we're going to be right downtown Breckenridge and
gorgeous
mountain biking and snowboarding, all we can do.
This is awesome, man. This is great. We got people checking in here. Hey, everybody, let me know where you're at in the comments. We got people coming in. This is great. Rick Graves from Dallas. What's up, Rick? Get that workout in today? Let me know. Janet, looking forward to today. I know Beverly Bell, but not James. Well, now you know James, Janet. Look at that. That's how this works, Fernando Donadon from Brazil. What's up, Brazil in the house? Fader, hope you're doing well. Tim, Western New York, wishing James and Ben a great show. Tim, you ain't got to wish. You ain't got to wish. What's happening, Tim? I'm looking at Tim backstage. I can't get a smile. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
All right.
Mary Lee, hello, Ben and James from Minnesota. Soon Seattle. Mary Lee, you moving? What's going on?
I love Mary Lee.
Mary Lee, if you're moving, I know a guy. That's all I'm saying. All right. Alan King, hi, Ben and James, tuning in from Germany.
Oh,
the
nice.
Germans are here. That's great. Stacy, super producer Stacy. Fred Metzler, the mouth of the moving business in the house here from Fayetteville, North Carolina. What are you over at Fort Bragg out there? Look at that, doing the Lord's work out there at Fort Bragg. Thank you, Fred. Appreciate your service out there, making moves happen. Victoria from sunny DF Dub. What's going on, Victoria? Elizabeth. Hey, James, I've been checking in from Stanford. Congrats, Ben, on your recognition. Thank you, Elizabeth, and congrats to you too.
Yeah,
named the
Elizabeth
Benevo Top 100 today. That was kind of cool. I was on a call today. People started blowing me up with congratulations. That was really nice, everybody. Thanks for voting and everything.
Nice.
But I want to, Eric Scorzelli, hello, Ben and James, greeting from Woodstock. Long time no listen, Ben. Eric, we had a box show and we didn't have you on, man. What happened, dude? Too many politics over victory, man. Let me know what's going on, dude. Curious about liner board. No one ever said that. Hey, James, but I want to know about you today, though. Tell me a little bit about your story, man, because we have a lot of friends in common. We I know some people from your organization, but I don't know the James Bilderback story and the Interlink story. So help me out, man. How did it all start?
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, it's a pretty, it's similar stories of what most people have. My grandmother was in real estate and she was a broker. My mom's real estate, she was a broker. And in the 80s, short and sweet, my mom started a business and doing apartment finding. And we decided in a year or so we were going to do furnished apartments. So we started corporate housing in 92. We started real estate in the late 90s. And then in the beginning of 2000, we started Interlink Relocation. So just building on, one business after another, adding layer and layer in there so we can make sure we service everybody.
That's so interesting. Did you guys set out to build a vertically integrated RMC, or what was the thought process going into that?
It was kind of reverse. We had all these single source services. We had corporate housing, real estate, property management, destination services, but we didn't have the complete package to sign these bigger clients, where we did all their expense, home sale, and all of those. So for us to have ownership of that type of relationship, we created Interlink to be full service and offer everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the first service though that your
The first,
mom
yeah,
got?
it's interesting. The first service that we started with was apartment finding because in the 80s there was no internet, right? And we made a
I'm always
database.
fascinated by any conversation starts with, and there was no internet, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
right.
whoa, like let me get my popcorn here for a minute because like,
I'm a little
yeah,
old, like I'm in my 50s, so like I mean, we
wow,
really literally didn't have any internet, and so we made a database of all the apartment communities and got referral fees for helping people find apartments, and that business is almost non-existent anymore. It's
well, it's crazy
everything's
you say that
web-based.
though, right? Because we have people on all the time that talk, not I say all the time, not all the time by any means, but we've had people on the show before who specialize in apartment finding.
Mhm.
And we have corporate folks, and shout out to any of my corporate folks who are watching, throw it in the comments here. And I want to know your thoughts on renters. But we have people all the time talking about, corporate RMCs, how renters are this underserved population in
Yeah,
relocation, this kind of forgotten yet growing and increasingly important population.
yeah,
And it reminds me of that saying, what's old is new again, and the
yeah,
cyclical nature of business, right? And you started out finding apartments for renters in the 80s.
yeah.
Flash forward 30 years, and what's hot
Huge.
right now? Renters.
Yeah, huge renter population, huge renter population. And it is funny sometimes how you could have the same level employee get different packages, right? Based on their home ownership status. When we try to consult our clients that not to look at it that way. If anything, look like they could add more because they're getting a discount on how much it costs, right? So do everything you can with them because it's still less expensive than a homeowner.
That's so interesting. So you're actually, strategically, you're like, okay, well, you can actually deploy that same dollars for these other, for the home sale, whatever. Now you can deploy that in other ways that might be super impactful and actually give them a more robust benefit.
Yeah,
That's really
without a doubt.
interesting.
And we still encourage all of our corporate clients to do home finding with renters just as well as buyers. I think that's super important right now. I think that's when you shortcut that step just for a couple dollars, it really shortcuts the process.
And I want to double click on that real quick and ask more about that. We've got people checking in over here. I want to know your questions for James. I want to hear your questions. I always say your questions are better than mine. Marietta, hi, Ben and James checking in today from San Antone. What's up, Marietta
Love
and
it
San
there.
Antone? That's a great
Yeah,
town. Great
yeah,
town.
it's a great town.
Mena, here's a great town for you. Dubai. Ever been to Dubai?
No, but we just
No.
deployed a couple people out there. We've got some
Just
projects going.
duployed? Did you do a little pun for me there? Just duployed some people to Dubai?
Yeah,
Oh man, you must be a dad. Dad jokes
yeah,
over here flying. That's
yeah.
great. Mary, hello, James.
Hey,
Elizabeth
Meryl.
Martin, DJ Lizzie Beats in the house. Hi, Ben and James from Chi Town.
That's where
What's
I was
up, Chi?
born.
You were born in the Chi? I didn't know that. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Cook County
How'd you end up in
Hospital.
Atlanta then?
My dad was in the Navy in Chicago, and then we moved to New Jersey. I was actually grew up in New Jersey most of my life. And then before we started this business, we moved to Atlanta to be with my grandmother, which was in real estate that kind of kicked everything off. Yeah,
Wow, that's so
yeah.
cool. So would you say Interlink is a family business?
Yeah, without a doubt. My mom's still the broker of the company, still runs our real estate company, our property management company. My mom, I mean, we're blessed because she was a single mom raising two boys, and we were as poor as we could get, living in a two-bedroom, one bath. I think it was like 600 square foot house. It was, different when I was growing up compared to my kids now, but she
How do
really
you how do you
set
teach
the
those
path.
kids? How do you teach those kids about hard work though? When you grew up in that 2 bedroom, one bath, and we're struggling and everything. I mean, that's one of the things I worry about. Listen, I don't got problems like you got problems, but I worry about how do I make sure my kids are hungry and hardworking and respectful and humble and all the things that. Yeah,
Yeah.
how do you do that? I mean, just sidebar, as a dad, just curious.
Again, I've got three daughters. I think it's important just to let them have ownership in each piece that they do and kind of skin in the game. Like, you know, we could pay for all of our daughter's college, but her allowing her some responsibility to pay for some of it her own, she feels that responsibility. I think, I'm not 100% sure. We
Can we
have
get your
3
daughter
kids,
on?
and
Stacy, can we get his daughter on real quick and see if he feels responsible? Just kidding.
we got 3 kids, and they're all different. You know, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
that's for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, this is awesome. We got people checking in over here. Eric says he's too busy. Can't talk box. He's too busy keeping the rack stocked here. We were talking about shortages the other day. You seeing any shortages that are
Yeah.
affecting your business, James?
Well, we've been talking to our third-party creators and talking about that crating and, you know, what's going on with that, and buying products and buying services, and trying to give them some relief until, you know, until the supply comes back, or we'll see how we're doing with that. We've definitely seen a huge spike in business in the last 30 days, and I think a lot of people have, which has created more of a summer urge to get everything done than typical summers, are definitely different than what we had last summer.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, these creators are going to start showing up to houses, taking boards off the side of the house and creating TVs with it. If it come push comes to shove out here,
Well,
Jason.
even in our
Go ahead.
real estate company, I mean, it's the real estate market is very, you know, I mean, it's crazy right now. We haven't seen it like this in a long, long time. I don't think I've ever seen it like this.
Give us an idea of the market down there, and Jason Rollins. While he's doing that, I want to hear some James Bilderback stories there in the comments. So give you a moment to edit and redact some of it, throw it in the comments.
Don't take any stories from him for sure.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Jason, log in under a pseudonym and give us some Bilderback stories in the comments.
Yeah.
But James, but seriously, what are you seeing in the market? Can you go in depth with us a little bit there and give us an idea?
Well, I mean, it's not just the U.S. market. Even in a lot of international locations, we're seeing the houses grow where, you know, a market might be growing 8 to 10%, and now it's growing 18 to 25%. You know, in a short period.
Like annually, like.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in certain areas, certain states, the double growth, you know, percentage from what it was the previous year. You're having a hard time with appraisals catching up with that type of growth. We're having a hard time with inventory. You know, I think a lot of this relocation that we had usually expected every year, we didn't have a lot of that going on. That's been removed from inventory. The cost of construction has went up. There's a lot of things that are causing these issues for, you know, the housing prices to go up so much.
Wow, we've got some really cool comments coming. This is so interesting. We're in a really interesting time right now. I want to kind of go through some of these comments and questions we've got. Keep these comments and questions coming. We're going to get to all of them. Want to hear your comments and questions for James here. Faye Hawksworth checking in from Randy Houston. Keep that rain down there, Faye. Let's see here. Steve Hoffman asked James about his beef with beavers. You got beaver beef? What's going on?
He's funny.
You can no comment, or you can.
No. This is not what you. This is my beaver trapping days when I lived on the lake, and I had many beavers that were, you know, camping out on my dock.
This is like a Caddyshack thing, where like you and the beavers like having a war.
100% for about a year. 100%.
Yeah. So who won? Do you still got that house? Who won?
I sold that house. I sold that house.
The beavers won.
I was like, let me close it up, put it up for sale. We're done.
Man, that's a disclosure that did not get added. There's a beaver.
Now I'm live telling everybody about it.
That's great. It's all right. I'm sure there's a statute of limitation.
Yeah, probably right.
Hosea Botley checking in. What's up, Hosea?
There you go,
From Reversal. You know Hosea, yeah.
I do. He's a good guy, very good guy. Has a great company, doing a great job.
For sure.
Yeah.
Nicola, hi there, friends logging in from Germany. Did Ben mention? Yeah. Thank you, Nicola. I appreciate that. Really cool. Quite an honor here. Marietta, James, I started my 38-year business as apartment rental assistance. Of course, went on to corporate housing and grew from there. It goes hand in hand.
That it does.
For sure. Farrell, talking about rentals, the market has changed so much this last year. Suburban markets are exploding and primary markets are seeing people leave. How are you addressing that?
I think we address each area independently. You can't just put a blanket over America and say how this is how we're going to deal with it. We're seeing people moving everywhere. I don't think that there's any one market that we've seen that's been depressed. Where we've been. I'll give you an example. We're moving somebody to Tupelo right now,
Tupelo,
and
Mississippi, Elvis'
Tu-
hometown there in Tupelo.
good luck trying to find a rental there, though, for real. I mean, they are running 99.8% availability, and it's in a remote location. So we're seeing it across the board, and we just have to have patience. I think people get excited and want to get things done right away, but I think the summer is going to take a little bit of patience.
How do you tell people patience? I mean, it's so interesting you say patience. I posted a comment today on somebody else was talking about more ships have fallen off containers in the ocean this year than like, I don't know, in a long time.
Okay.
And they're saying it's due to people being in such a rush to get stuff over, right? Because we're all like now,
Yeah.
and of course when you rush, bad things happen. It used to be safety first, last and always, and now containers are at the bottom of the ocean. I guess my
Yeah.
question is, how do we tell our clients to chill? How do we tell our transferees to like, hey, take a beat? We might take a little
Well,
longer to get things done this year.
well, you definitely don't. We don't tell them, in those terms to chill or any of
You
that.
don't
I
tell your
think
customers to chill. It doesn't work that
no.
way.
And I think that a lot of times we have to be aware of their situation. They might have to hire a critical hire, and we need them there now, right? So we just look for alternative solutions. We want them to get the resources and the things they need to operate. And if it means going to a hotel temporarily or corporate apartment temporarily, doing things until the other things happen, that's what we do. We just reconfigure how we're going to do it so they get everything they need. And then we work within a timeline that's actually manageable for all the suppliers involved to get it done. We can't push a button and make things happen magically, for sure.
Farrell goes on to say, I agree, James, the floodgates have opened within the last 2 months.
Yeah.
I'm really curious, how does, let's say, the last month, let's say April. How does April 2021 compare to, let's say, April 2019? Let's say April 2019 was a 100 baseline, right?
Mhm.
What is April 2021 looking like?
It's still like a 0.85, if you will. It's still
Mhm.
not the same numbers that April was. Now we'll see what June says, or May and June says. I know we've got a lot more authorizations last week than we expected. But as far as up to April, it was sitting there really. This just started happening for us the end of April and May. And I think every client's a little bit different, and our companies are a little bit different. So rental relocation has really been on full mode since the beginning of the year because we're a GSA supplier. We've been doing government contracts, and we've got other things going on for rental relocation. With relocation, we're hearing a lot of our companies are coming back full force in May, June, July, August, September. So as those things start to happen, we're seeing the work pick up also.
Nice. We got a question here from Rick. Rick's got a self-admitted silly questions. Okay, Rick, no dumb questions. What causes the need for relocation or slowing of relocation? Particular market needs, something else? Help us out.
Well, I think that what causes the need for relocation is companies need employees, and in certain incidents, they need them in a specific location. It's easy for us as maybe operations or certain tasks that can be done from anywhere, but you've got a lot of manufacturing, you've got a lot of construction. There's a lot of jobs out there that still need somebody on site, and that's what causes a relocation.
Yeah. Yeah, Rick, also, it's about putting the right people in the right place to do the right things, right? So, say you're
Yeah.
an amazing manager of a location somewhere in Dallas and they're opening up a location in Los Angeles and they're like, who needs to run this? Rick needs to run this because Rick's so
Exactly.
amazing, we're going to
Yeah.
send Rick out there and hope he doesn't screw it up, you know?
And we're seeing more assignments right now too. So that's, I think that that's going to kick in a little bit where people are a little hesitant on moving, but we'll do some work assignments, do temp living. We're definitely seeing an increase with that also.
Do you think that that's a long-term shift to temporary assignments or shorter term assignments versus permanent relocations?
I think it could be for part of the group that doesn't have to be there working and manufacturing or building bricks or whatever you're doing, for that person that needs to be there more on a temporary assignment. They can obviously live where they want to live and then work in the same location. I mean, temporary living is very expensive. Temporary living has got almost to what the cost of household goods has gotten. So you've got home sale, household goods, and temp living running 1 and 2 as far as costs. So that does play a factor.
Yeah, interesting. Where do you see the most pressure from clients? Like, what are clients talking about as far as cost containment, or where, yeah, let's keep it that way. I mean, what do clients kind of raise their eyebrow at the most, would you say? Because we always hear price pressure, we always hear cost containment, but out of those service lines that you kind of described, or other ones perhaps, what are some of the ones that really
Well,
raise an
I,
eyebrow?
I think, the main thing for most companies like us that operate in this space, most of the cost is a direct cost related to the employee's benefits. Our fee is not that expensive like
Oh,
other,
sure.
so it's just trying to get them to understand each component that they add and how much that component costs. If you want to add household goods, this is this. If you want to, so we try to build it out with them in a way that it makes sense with the cost with each one that they add. But sometimes we see policies that are not fully funded properly, and that's probably your biggest challenge there. You can't give a BBO and then give a cap of 50 or 60 grand, and so just the understanding of that is the thing that we try to work with and educate everybody on it. That's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, and I guess where I was going with and that's a great point you bring up. And I guess where I was going with the question is, because as service providers are always thinking about, are always facing price pressure, and price pressure is usually a symptom of clients not seeing the value in the service, right? The
Yeah,
value is not commensurate with the price. It doesn't look like
yeah,
it seems a little high. It seems a little high.
sure.
Which service would you say that the clients struggle maybe to see the value in?
The two of them would
Service
probably
provider.
be the two of them would probably be, well, home sale, obviously, you have 8% of the cost, so if we don't explain that properly, but household goods and corporate housing, those are your three main, you know, people don't understand why a corporate apartment is $5,000 a month, and it's a 2 bedroom, 2 bath that runs $180 a night, or we can do 2 hotel rooms at 150 a night, whatever you want to do. But that doesn't relate because most people can go up to an apartment and are like, it's $1,600. How did it get to $5,000?
Yeah.
So that's a challenge, right? And in the household goods, that that's a big piece of it. But those are people's most valuable assets, and we're tasked with trying to make sure that we bring it across the country perfectly, and so are suppliers. So there's no way, shape, or form that we can use subpar suppliers to do it.
Yeah. This is no, I think what you said about corporate housing, for instance, makes a lot of sense, right? Because you're right. People look at an apartment like, well, gosh, I can rent an apartment for $1,500. I see
Yeah,
signs on the corner. We're driving by, move-in special, first month free. I mean,
yeah.
what's the problem, right? It's like,
What's
okay,
the
but it's not,
catch?
yeah, it's not outfitted with gorgeous, furnishings, and then sitting unrented for 2 months or 14 months in a pandemic, right?
That's the thing, you have to build in your vacancy, and some companies use 1.5 months over 12 months, some companies use 3 months over 12 months, so you have to calculate that for sure.
Yeah, I'm seeing clients out here with policies of like 45 days. And it's like,
Well,
are you trying to screw me up over here with 45? You can do 30, you can do so you gotta do 45 days. I mean, like it's not
yeah.
even, I mean,
Well, that's where we look at the policy. So we say, okay, well, 60 days costs you 12, 30 days costs you 6. I only want to spend 9, so let's make it 45 days. That's where we start to build out the budget for these policies. Yeah, that's how they come up with 45 days. It's going to be hard though with home sale right now, especially during the summer. The transit time is going to take longer, so you're going to see that length in that corporate housing.
Yeah, and so you mentioned home sale before, and I wanted to ask about that because I know that the real estate's a real, obviously really core to what you guys do, and something I've been thinking about for a while. Is home sale a benefit that will increase, decrease, stay the same over the next 5 years? What are your thoughts on that? If you had a crystal ball.
Well, I think that it's so expensive that, especially as companies are going to start to ramp up for employees, I think you're going to see policies possibly get more lucrative if we're going to have to start moving people and encouraging them to move. And the average cost to sell a home, 8 to 10%, that's just a lot of cash out of an individual's pocket. So companies are going to have to encourage them. So I don't think right now we're going to see that that go away. Even though we have high unemployment, we don't have high people searching for jobs. That's the difference.
Well, and the unemployment is a blended unemployment. It's not skilled labor versus, hate to say unskilled labor, but it doesn't really count because there's sectors of the economy where you just can't find people
Yeah.
to do some of these skilled jobs, a lot of these, jobs that are being relocated. We've got some great comments coming up. I want to hear your questions for James. I'm going to take your questions now. Let's see here. We've got some fun ones coming up. Personal question. I'm gonna start with a softball. Okay.
All right.
You ready?
Okay.
Okay. Lean into this one. All right. Will James live in Breckenridge full time?
Will James live in Breckenridge full time? James will be splitting his time between Breckenridge, Costa Rica, and Atlanta full time. That's my goal.
Nice. Beautiful. Perfect segue to Faye's question. These are getting just incrementally harder. Okay.
Yeah.
James, how was the surfing in Costa Rica?
The surfing in Costa Rica has been great. I just got back last week and got 2 new surfboards and can't ride them a lick, but the surfing is good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Is surfing like golf where it's just like, hey, it's just good to be out here?
It is good to be out there, except you get punched all the time when you're surfing and you don't in golf.
Nobody just hits you with a wood every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, that wave is very powerful. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Here's another softball. What's up, James from Paul?
Oh, hey, Paul. Good to hear from you.
Here. Laura checking in from Aberdeen, Scotland. All right.
Very
Let's
cool.
see. We're going to hear from the drivers out there. Okay. These questions are getting harder. Not super hard.
No, that's all
Not
right.
CRP. Not CRP
Yeah.
hard, but
That's good.
here we go. Fred Metzler's telling us as far as shortages goes, there's no tape here in Vietnam. Fred, you're hilarious, but I wish I'd give you a big old hug. Okay, Fred, I'd love to ask you, what do you do when there's no tape in Vietnam?
You use plastic wrap.
You shrink the box. I love it. You shrink wrap the box. Man, see, that's when you're talking to an RMC. The drivers give me a hard time because they're like, oh, you bunch of suits. You guys don't get it out there, Oh, man, it's great. Fred, okay, Fred's got a question. Oh, go ahead, James. What do you got?
No, I was just going to say that that's funny that you said that because, I'd always been a supplier of RMCs for the longest time. And we value our partners probably more than our clients. They do such a great job for us, And
Yeah.
we don't,
Yeah, for sure. Fred goes in. Well, this is a great segue. Fred, old school mover, asks, what factors go into choosing your service providers?
I mean, it just depends on the service for one, but we go off of history, we go off of price, we go off of do we have room for that, because one, we try to really feed the providers that we have and take care of them like family. So we don't run it too thin. That's not the way that we want to go. We try to make sure everybody's got a good piece of the pie.
Makes sense. I'm gonna stay here just for a second because I'm sure it's a question a lot of people want to know here. What's maybe the number one thing that might catch your eye about a supplier? Because I'm sure your inbox is full daily with people like, hey James, you got to check me out. Best thing since sliced bread. What's the thing that catches your eye?
you know, it's hard. It's just like when we're trying to sell, I guess it's at the moment that we need that service, you know, and it's at the time when we're looking for those services or at the time of year when we're reviewing. Um, but we do listen to everybody. I mean, I think that that's important because there's so many new providers coming online all the time and new technology coming online. And I never liked it when somebody said, we're okay with who we have and we're not going to look at anything else because then I think I'm shortcutting my clients. So we try to look at everything.
You know, I think that's a great point. That was one of the frustrations, honestly, when I came into this business. I still remember one of the frustrations was not feeling like people were really open to
Yeah.
new ideas, right?
Yeah.
Because people go to the conferences and they kind of hang out with their groups, and they kind of click up, and then their providers take clients out, and everybody kind of knows their gig, where they're
Sure.
going Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I just felt like it was really hard to get people's attention and stop and say, hey, maybe I don't know, everything about this category. Maybe there's something new that's happened in the last 20 years I should check out.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate when you say that, to kind of keep an eyeball out and say what's happening in the marketplace. I mean, I appreciate that.
No, it's how an RMC is basically supplier management. You know, this is what we do, and we add consulting in it to deal with the families, but that's a big piece of what we do.
So Fred's over here trying to sell while he's on a job. He's like, check out next move. Okay. All right, Fred. Love you, man. Fred's got Fred. All right, so James, I'm gonna ask you, what do you do when you don't have tape and shrink wrap's too expensive? Use Elmer's glue, obviously. Elmer's. Fred's out there using
You
Elmer's.
have to use a Kroger bag, I guess.
Oh my gosh, this is what we're doing out here.
If it's that bad, Fred, you guys got to shut down shop. Really, you got to take a break.
Just start saying, hey, that move, James, that move we were supposed to do today for that VIP? It's Elmer's or nothing, James. What do you want me to do, man? Make the call.
Yeah.
That's great. So great. Sometimes I forget how far away from the curb we are. It's like, I mean, I know Fred's kidding about the Elmer. I think you're kidding, Fred.
Yeah, you kidding?
You kidding, Fred?
It's getting busy out there for some of these household good providers, though, and I think one of the things that people just don't realize is during COVID, a lot of us, companies had some kind of shrinkage, and even still, we're hesitant to fully ramp up because it's like, oh, when's the next wave going to hit? When, how are things going to go? Do we have 3 months or do we have 36 months? When's the next crisis? Because they seem to roll in quicker waves now than they used to during the 80s, 90s, right? Now in 2000s, we've had 9/11, 2008, the housing crisis, now this. So you've got a lot of things that have happened in a short period of time. So we all have to ramp up and get more personnel and get more things in gear. And that's, I think, what we're all doing.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like this year we're going from from being asleep to being like in a dead sprint.
Yep.
There's no preseason. It's mid-season form. It's like you're off season, mid-season form.
100%.
Pretty tough. We're having glue debates here in the comments here. Let's see here. So we got some questions here. I got a couple more questions for you here. Mary Ellen Tratina says, how much do you think the pandemic will change the budget and policies going forward for both domestic and international relocation? What are your thoughts on that? How's the pandemic changing budget and policies?
I haven't seen it change the budget. The move is still what the move is. If anything, it's getting a little bit more expensive with like household goods and third-party services and real estate and other things. As we talked about earlier, we're seeing a little bit more of assignments instead of just all relocations where people may not want to just jump in, but they're putting their toes in, and I'm going to go there for a while and see how it works out. I'll be interested. That's one of my topics too. One of my top 5 is, how's the relocation market going to look in 24, 36 months? I do believe that we're a very resilient country. I mean, we've been through World War I, we don't remember it. We've been through World War II, we don't remember it. We've been through Vietnam, we don't remember it. It's all been in this last, 100 and something years. So think there'll be a time that we get through this also.
Yeah. What are people not talking about right now that maybe they should be thinking about or talking about?
Oh, I'm not. Man, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I always like to ask this question. I know it's a curveball, but I always like to ask this question because I feel like, sometimes, Robert Horsley yesterday was talking about kind of getting stuck in our own echo chamber, and sometimes, and even on this show we're guilty of it too, right? Where it's like, we kind of stay with the same themes all the time, say the same things over and over again. Maybe they become true if you hear them enough times. But I guess my question, is there something maybe that's kind of runs counter to conventional wisdom, and maybe what might something be that we're not talking about? Maybe we should be thinking about.
I'm not sure. I mean, I definitely think that there's been a dynamic change over the last 12 months where we've really fallen in step with what the government has asked us to do. We've really kind of gotten away from communicating people because we've had to social distance ourselves. We're wearing masks and covering our faces and don't have social features anymore. So, I just think that some of that right there needs to be brought back. I think that we need to be people again. We need to enjoy life. We need to get away from being scared. I don't. The thing that's really amazing to me is that we have like a lot more COVID cases than we did last April, but we're opening up and we were shutting down then. So it's just a really weird time, to try to grasp what's going on and how these things work.
It does feel like we're getting new information all the time. I think I read something where there's like 3 states, and I want to say Texas is one of them. I'm probably wrong as usual, where they reported 0 deaths, for the first time in however long, which is,
That's a great thing.
amazing, even though,
Yeah.
even though there are a lot of cases. Of course, at the same time, I heard about one of our, um, one of our friends in the industry, Meredith Morris, actually lost her husband to COVID
Oh, wow.
just recently. So, and there's
It's
actually a way you
been,
can donate to her kid's college fund. It's out there. So, if you reach out to someone from the SRC, and I think there's other NTRP, he's taking a collection for that. But yeah, it is a weird time. It is a different time. Things are really moving fast, and they're changing, and they're very fluid.
and I tell you, I got to give it to everybody that's been resilient during this last year. I mean, across the world. I mean, it's been a challenge mentally. I think it's really taken a toll on people, and that's going to be a shift that we're just going to have to work through. It's been
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it sure has. But I am hopeful. I am hopeful that,
me
here
too.
we are. We're getting pretty vaccinated. Cases are going down. Deaths are going down a lot. It sounds like in-person events are coming back in the fall, which I'm super stoked about.
I'm supposed to go to
So
a Braves game on Friday, so yeah, it'll be
there
my
you go.
first sporting
Nice.
event in like what 14, 15 months. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, that'll be fun, man. Who they
Yeah.
playing?
I think they're playing the Pirates. To be honest with you,
Nice.
I'm not sure.
Nice.
I'm meeting
Eh,
some new
ball game, right? As long as there's
CEO
hot.
and new CEO and new president from Korea, so it'll be exciting. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Victoria's got a comment. Renters were a challenge for us. I think she's talking about her days back at Cardis as a on-site person there. Oftentimes, the only benefit outside of the Northeast and California was to be assigned to a network agent. Those agents typically sold and listed homes and didn't serve renters very well.
Yeah.
Is this a common problem? I know that I kind of encountered this too. I mean, I learned well. I had a great service, fortunately, because I know the business a little bit and had some
Yeah.
good contacts. But it seems like the existing network of real estate agents aren't really aligned to be able to provide rental services.
No, I agree. And they're two different animals. So, one needs to be proficient in one and one needs to be proficient in another. And every state is different, like, in Atlanta, the homeowner may pay the agent the real estate fee, where in New York, it's going to come from the renter and it's going to be 1.2% of whatever the lease is or whatever their calculations that they use. So you have differences with everywhere. I think for us, we always try to identify a renter agent, and then we always want to pay that agent for their time. Because if you just have them show the houses that they get paid for, then they're going to leave part of that market out. So our whole goal is to see all the available options, even if you're not getting commission on that, and we'll pay you for your time and effort for that.
You bring up a great point because the commission structures are totally different, right? Real
Yeah.
estate agent will get, 3%, give or take, whatever of the sale price, and for the rental, what I was hearing for the rental properties was like a month. They get like a month's rent as their commission. But there's a lot of them that don't want to pay that at all. A lot of landlords don't want to pay that.
Well, in the states that landlords do pay it, it is a month typically. But what happens is I'm not going to co-op that. So if I might list that, and then if another agent wants to show I'm only going to give them $100, or I might give them $200. We're not going to give them half of 1,200, So that split right there is where it gets real messy, right? So if you don't have the listing, then a lot of times you don't want to show the product. So that's again why we pay the agent. So they'll show all the listings, even the ones they might only get $100 on.
Is that the best way to do it? To just have a fee, to just have like a fee structure that I guess the corporation pays as the benefit, and then that way you don't got to worry about the misalignment of incentives with real estate agents?
If you don't pay a fee, then definitely the transferee, the person that wants to rent is not going to get all the available options. They're only going to be steered to the ones that realtor is going to get paid for, and that's what we don't want to happen, because there's so many properties out there that don't have revenue towards an agent, so I don't even really. We want them to be an agent because we want them to be familiar and understand real estate, but I don't even always want them to think about where I'm going to get paid from, because we'll pay you to do this tour and take them around.
Rick Graves says, "Why are they not more generous?" Well, every yeah, easy to say with other people's money. I mean, Farrell says, "Aren't broker fees only on the East Coast, not common here in California and West Coast?"
Yeah, it's actually different every city and state you go to, so, every market is a little different depending on their rentals too, right? Depending on what that rental market looks like, depending on if it's homes or apartments too.
Is that due to like the law, or is it just due to like kind of the customs and like what the market will bear?
I think it's what the market will bear. I think it's definitely what the market will bear. And that for that perfect reason, like in New York, because everybody's got their own little listing, that's why the renter pays the fee, because that agent will go show all the listings out there, even though they're probably not going to get paid on that from that listing, but they get paid from the renter. And so Paul
Interesting.
Soley knows about that. Paul, you can comment on that. You've done renters in New York a long time.
Yeah, Paul, where you at? Throw it in the comments. Let's see. Farrell says, "I love it. See that? Isn't that great? You shoot it right back at them. Don't just. It's not just a one-way street here. Shoot it right back at them." Farrell says, "What percentages are you seeing in renters versus home buyers so far in 2021?"
Well, we are seeing conversion from renters to buyers. In 2008, a lot of people decided to become renters, but let's face it, most families build their wealth from real estate. And if you become a renter your whole life, you're missing out on that piece of building wealth. So even my friends and everything, I try to talk to them about how you can build your wealth with real estate. And the rates are so low and rental prices are so high right now. If you think you're going to be there for any period of time, it really is a good opportunity to buy. I would say, out of 100 moves, we're going to get 8 lump sums. You have 8% lump sums. You probably have 55% renters and the rest homeowners. So that's kind of
Okay.
the range right there.
Yeah, interesting. Let's see here. Keep the questions and comments coming. We got time for a couple more. Paul Soley, look at that. You ask and you receive. Look at that, Paul. Awesome. Paul says tenant paid fees in New York make a very efficient market.
Yeah. And that's what's already accepted. So corporate clients are used to that. And then the tenant can have access to all the availability out there.
Paul says the only market where rentals are consistently listed on the MLS.
And we do it pretty much in Atlanta too on the, well, I wouldn't say consistently, probably not like there, but there's a good amount on the MLS, but they just don't share commission, so there's no incentive for other agents to show that property.
Interesting here. And Jack Champel saying maybe we don't even raise our eyebrows. Awesome, Jack. It's funny. I see Jack throw a comment in there, and all of a sudden, boom, he's on Clubhouse. I'm like, are you even around, Jack? What's going on, man? Clubhouse is crazy. You getting into Clubhouse yet, James?
No, I haven't been in the clubhouse
Hey,
yet.
you ain't missing much. Don't worry about it.
No.
Yeah, but if you do want to get in, though, hit me up. I'll send you an invite. You get in the Global Mobility Clubs. Good way to kill some
Appreciate
time.
it. Thank you.
Bourbon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Mena says, okay, Mena's got a question. Mena's always coming out with some interesting questions. Sometimes when you are the owner of a company, you may not have a chance to learn since your decision is the only one. How do you overcome it? Oh, wow. So I think what she's saying is sometimes when you're the boss, you don't get a lot of feedback, and it's hard to necessarily know exactly what people are really thinking, because sometimes they just kind of maybe go along to get along or whatever, So
Employees or clients? I'm not what she's.
I think she's asking you personally as the owner of the company. How do you kind of stay flexible and learning and open as the owner of the company?
Well, I mean, one, I speak to all my corporate clients, every one of them, even though they're assigned to other account managers and things like that. I speak to them on a regular basis. I would say at least every 90 days we reach out and we have a chat. I think that I hire really great operational people that know what they're doing, and really nobody that we have has probably less than like 20 years experience. It's crazy to say that, but
Wow.
and then I've kind of kept a little bit more pulse on the client side, and that because I like to always know what's going on with the clients. I like to always know what's going on with what their needs are, what their challenges are, what's going on, and that helps me navigate what direction our business goes in. We changed a couple years our technology just because of continually speaking with our clients on some of their needs, what they wanted for international. So we changed our technology. So that's a perfect example, just keeping the pulse. But I mean, we're in so many different avenues: corporate housing, real estate, property management, relocation, commercial real estate. We own real estate. We have our own realtors. It's hard for us not to be entrenched in what's going on.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. So this has been a great conversation, and the comments have been fantastic. Keep those comments coming. But now is the part of the show. It's always my favorite part of the show. It's our top 5.
All right.
So James, I know you've been working on the top 5 for us today. So James, what is your top 5 today?
What is our top 5 today? I think, our top 5, no special order, and I think we've talked about some of it, is what's going on with the real estate market. Super crazy right now, because we sell real estate, we move people. I closed on a house today. So that's a big topic for everybody. How long is that going to last?
So James, you gave us 5 here. You gave us 5.
All
so
right.
I don't want you to steal your own thunder here. Okay, that's
All right,
that's
go
my
ahead.
job. Okay, don't steal your thunder. That's my job. No, here. So we got number 5 here. Okay, we're gonna do a countdown here. All right.
All right,
So
you go.
number 5 here. What's number 5? Number 5.
Trying to live my best life as we get older. Now, I think that's key. We're gonna we're going to be empty nesters in a few years. All 3 of our kids will be out. And I think that, especially with COVID last year, everybody's looking about like, life is short and, how are we going to maximize? We still need to work, but how can we live a good life?
What is your secret to that? Like what advice would you give? Because I mean, people read this like trying to live my best life. Sounds great. I want to do it.
Yeah.
James, what's up? How do I do that? Like
it's so amazing. Like, so it's mentally, it's just a choice. Like we're sitting here and we're like, okay, we're just going to make this change where we're going to get a place in Colorado and we're going to do something else and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And once we made the decision to make that change, it just started happening. I mean, we're in control of our destiny, anything we want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. I mean, I literally just moved my family to Texas 3 months ago just because that's where we wanted to be.
Yeah.
Sold the house, made the
And
move. I mean, it wasn't super easy. It wasn't terrible. It was hard in the moment, but I mean, that's just a moment.
but it's done, and you did it, and you did what you wanted to do, and you know you're having a better life where you're at. So it's not that hard to make that transition. Sometimes we think these roots just won't come up, you know.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, let's see. Number 4, things on James' mind right now. It's like we're taking your brain, we're just opening it up. We're like, what's inside here? Number
Yeah.
4.
What will relocation look like in the future? That was, a big topic in some of these, questions. Do we ramp up? Do we add a lot of people? And for me, I'm going to do it. We're going to think positive. I think if you think negative, you go in that direction. We're going to think positive. We're going to build for that. We got another new marketing person. We've got probably 4 or 5 people we're hiring this week and next week. We're,
Wow.
we're super excited, so we're ramping up for that to make that happen. If something changes, then we'll roll with that, but as of now, this is what we're going with.
Awesome. So you're just leaning into it, staying optimistic. It's
Yeah.
funny you say that. If you think negative, you go that way. If you think positive, I was hearing somebody talk about the power of what we focus on. And it's like if you're driving a boat and you look this way, you kind of drift this way,
You turn.
or right, or if you're swinging a golf club and you're just looking at the lake, right?
Yeah.
Where's that ball going to go? It's going to go in the lake.
Yeah. No, it's the same. It's with everything. If you go surfing and you don't look up when you go to stand up and you look down, you go down. Anything you do, if you're not looking ahead, you don't go ahead. I agree.
I love it. I love it. So often we can get mired in, to use the surfing out in the waves around us and the, oh crap, what do I do if I fall off this board? Or what happens if these waves get a little crazier? And I mean, especially right now, coming out of this, I mean, I can understand why people get fixated on what's going on around them. And I
Yeah,
think we have a tendency to think that the world happens to us, but I think we happen to the world a lot more than we give ourselves credit for.
I agree.
So pretty
100%.
cool. All right, let's see. Number 3.
Is COVID going away? That's who's not thinking about that? We're in Georgia. It's been a little bit more laxed on some of the things happening here. Mask and the way we go about things, and in some areas it's been a little more tightened, and I think just the miscommunication everywhere has been very difficult for anybody to absorb. And I'm hoping that like everybody else, that this is a distant, it's going to be in the distant past soon, and that's, as everybody gets vaccines and kind of does what they need to do to move on.
Yeah, and so when it does go away, because it will go away at some point, right?
Yep.
And I think a lot of us are feeling like it's going away now,
Yep.
right, with the vaccination and everything. Um, but what are you looking forward to most when it goes away?
I just look forward to smiling at people again when you walk by them. I look forward to people not crossing the street when you're walking down the road because they don't want to be close to you. It's just kind of uncomfortable. It got uncomfortable for a while, like you were a leper, and I really look forward to just people being able to gather and enjoy life.
Yeah, for sure.
My
And
daughter wearing a mask to school every day. I mean, it's hard. It's hard.
yeah, let's see here. This is a good segue into number 2.
Business recovery. This has been top of mind. I speak to a lot of business owners, a lot of people in relocation. They're like, well, okay, is it temporary? Is it permanent? Where are we going to go? How do we ramp up? What's the next steps? And for us, like, we don't operate like, we've already planned out next week and next month and the month after and the month after. We're pretty far out, like most companies, with the planning. So we're planning right now that this is gone, and we're moving full steam ahead. That's where we're going.
When you talk to these business owners and these clients of yours and everything, I mean, what kinds of things are on their mind well, actually, let me actually ask a really specific question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What are you hearing as return to office dates go? I put a poll out there, and I'd love to hear everybody watching this. Do the poll. Got 150 something people responded, I think. What is the return to office dates you're hearing most common?
Well, and half of our clients are global clients, right? So what the return to the office in the US is completely different than what it is in Asia and Europe and some of these other places. India, we've got a client that's one of the biggest companies in India, and they can't send people home. They just keep extending them because they're not taking anybody in India. There's things going on, and COVID is ramping up there where it's cutting back here. So it just really just depends on the client and their footprint and what they have going on. And that's why some of the bigger companies are still having relocation issues, because it's not just about the US, it's about everywhere. But for the US businesses, we're hearing between May 1st and August 1st. By the time school starts, companies want to be back at work, except for your super high tech companies that have different infrastructure in place, maybe your Facebook or your Apple or something like that.
Yeah, and even some of those are like September 1. And then, of course, some of them are doing, not through the end of the year, or a lot of them I'm hearing are doing like hybrid
Yeah.
situations.
But like we just did a big roundtable last week. There's a lot that goes into now these people living all over the world, and the taxation that goes and where they're at and how companies have to file out of state employees and everything that's going on, and that global workforce policy and insurance in different states where they were all working in one place before. There's a lot going on. There's a lot more moving parts than people think about. We had United Healthcare on, Michelin on. We had a number of them speaking a couple weeks ago where they're having to get in front of this, and it's causing a whole nother set of cost and issues from working remote.
Yeah, interesting. Let's see here. Number one.
Real estate market, that's kind of similar to what we've been talking about. It all ties in. You can see how my brain works. It's all in a circle. It's all tied to each other, and that real estate market is everybody's top of mind. Even me and my wife are thinking, oh, we might need to put our house up for sale if we see this spike that might drop down in another 12 months. Maybe we just need to take advantage of it. So we're seeing that across the board. And offers. I mean, it's hard to believe that most houses under $1.5 million are getting 10, 20, 30, 40 offers, and above list. And then appraisals are having a hard time keeping up with that. And then people are just paying cash. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's a good thing. I'm glad to see so many people have cash. I don't think, why we did have the housing crisis in 2008. People are like, well, this is the highest price. It might go down a little bit, but I guarantee 20 years from now, it'll never be this low again. Real estate has
Wow.
only crept up from the last 150 or 200 years or whatever. We've been buying and selling it. So it's going to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. So here I got the taxes right, and as a self-employed person, I had to rent when I got here,
Yeah.
and it kind of killed me to do it, but I had to rent, and this market's on fire in Dallas right
Yeah.
now, as I'm sure Atlanta is, and it's just on fire. And I'm hoping that this is a blessing in disguise. I'm hoping that there's a little bit of a kind of a correction in the next year or two, and kind of bring these houses down, make them a little more affordable. Do you think that that's going to happen, or do you think it's just going to kind of continue to go up?
It, yeah, it's hard for me to say. And when you look at the last housing crisis, it wasn't because the houses were inflated. It was because of all the junk bonds that people were selling, and it was because the banks were over leveraged and everything else that was going on. It wasn't because my house wasn't worth the value. I don't think we have some of that structural problems that we did in 2008 that caused that crisis. So what would bring it down? Maybe just all of a sudden all manufacturing comes back online, all construction comes back online, all supplies come back online. But that's 24 to 36 months, I bet, at minimum, for everything to be 100% like 2018, 2019.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
One of our
Very
clients is a
interesting.
home builder, and they had their record year last year for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super interesting. James, this is fascinating. This is really, really interesting. I've learned a lot. Appreciate the time. Appreciate everybody out there who was getting involved in the comments and the phenomenal questions. This show is always better when you guys are out there and
Yeah.
participate. So thanks for all that. James, you want to leave us with maybe a final thought, some parting words?
No, I appreciate your time, Ben. Thanks for having me on. We always love talking about what we do, right? And we're proud of what we do. And I just want to say thanks to our whole team. Everybody that works with me has really put in the extra effort, especially through this COVID issue, and being super flexible with our clients, with us. And I just really appreciate all the people that work with me, all of our partners out there. That you guys mean a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, gratitude. It's phenomenal. James, speaking of gratitude, thank you. Really appreciate
Yeah.
you being here.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Hey, take care, everybody. Tomorrow we have String Win. She is a LinkedIn expert. She's going to be here from Australia, 4-time LinkedIn top voice. So she's going to be teaching us all sorts of tips and tricks about getting our LinkedIn profile and presence up to snuff. So can't wait to see you all then. Thanks everybody who got involved. The comments were hilarious. Can't wait to see what Jason Rollins is talking about. Maybe offline. We'll see. James, I hope we get to do it again soon, my friend.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thanks, Ben.
Take care, everybody.